2 weeks. That's all we had left until the wedding. Invitations had been sent, the florist had been paid in full, and the guest list was finalized down to the last child's menu. I remember thinking for a brief moment that morning how quickly life can fall into place. But that peace didn't last. I woke up to silence. Not the usual kind. The comforting stillness of early morning with birds chirping faintly in the distance and the sun peeking through the blinds. No, this was a loud silence, the kind that scratches at the edges of your thoughts and makes your stomach turn before your brain even knows why. Her side of the bed was cold. The sheets were untouched. Her pillow still fluffed from the night before. Maybe she went out for coffee, I told myself. Or maybe she went for a run. Mia wasn't unpredictable. In fact, she was the opposite. She liked schedules, routines. Her calendar looked like a mosaic of color-coded blocks and reminders. So I brushed my teeth, made coffee, checked my phone. Nothing. A small pit formed in my stomach. I texted her, "Hey, where are you? Woke up and you weren't home." Nothing. Hours passed. I tried to distract myself, folded laundry, checked in on work emails, even called the caterer to confirm head counts. Still, my phone stayed silent. I called her once. Straight to voicemail. Again. Same thing. By noon, I was spiraling. I called her mother. She didn't say anything about leaving, her mom said. Her voice sounded casual at first, like she didn't understand the weight behind my question. Then I called her dad. "No idea," he grunted. "You sure she didn't mention anything to you?" I want to scream, but I didn't. I just sat there, the phone pressed against my cheek as the seconds crawled by. I texted her best friend, Camila. Left on read. Something was wrong. Deeply wrong. By nightfall, I was pacing the apartment like a man possessed. I checked her closet. A few things were missing: a duffel bag, some toiletries, a couple of sundresses. It wasn't packed like she'd run away, but it wasn't untouched either. Should I call the police? My heart was thudding in my chest like a war drum. It felt like everything was teetering on the edge of something awful, something I couldn't name yet. Then at 4:17 a.m., I opened Instagram. There she was, front and center in a group photo, smiling, surrounded by a handful of her college friends at some rooftop bar. Laughter in her eyes, a drink in her hand. The location tagged, Barcelona, Spain. I blinked at the screen like it was a hallucination. Spain? My fiancée, the woman I was going to marry in 14 days, was halfway across the world and hadn't said a single word to me. The rage didn't come right away. At first it was just shock. I just sat there, phone trembling in my hand, staring at the screen. Her face, her smile, like everything was fine. I texted again. "I know where you are. You need to get on the next flight home, or the wedding is off." I stared at the message for 10 minutes before pressing send. When I did, my hands were shaking. Still no response. When I finally did sleep, it was barely an hour. I woke up groggy, numb, and emotionally raw. A part of me hoped I'd dream it all, that I'd open my eyes and she'd be there, groggy and apologetic, coffee in hand. But her side of the bed was still untouched. Later that morning, my phone buzzed. It was her. I picked up. "Hey," she said, her voice light and casual, like we hadn't just gone 36 hours without contact. Like she hadn't flown to another continent. "What's up?" I didn't even let her finish. "Are you serious right now?" I snapped. "You ghosted me, Mia. You vanished. Your phone's been off. Your parents are panicking. And now I find out you're in Spain." She sighed. That sigh, like I was being unreasonable. "Calm down. It's not that deep." I nearly threw the phone. "Not that deep," I whispered. "You left me here to finalize our wedding while you're off, sipping cocktails with your ex-roommates?" "I needed a break," she said coldly. "You wouldn't have understood. It was a surprise trip. They booked it last minute. I didn't want to waste a ticket. It's only 2 weeks." I paused. My voice was shaking. "And our wedding?" "I'll be back in time," she said, as if it was a dinner reservation. "Relax. Relax." That word felt like a slap. "If you're not on a flight home by tomorrow," I said quietly, "there won't be a wedding come back to." Her reply was cold. "I told you I'm staying. Deal with it." And then she hung up. I stared at the screen until it went black. My hands were numb. My chest felt tight. I don't know how long I sat there. All I could think was, she chose this. She chose this. I didn't go to sleep that night. I sat in our living room, staring at nothing. I didn't cry. I didn't rage. I just planned. Not revenge. Just escape. By morning, I had made my decision. The wedding was off. I drafted a message to the wedding planner. We need to talk. The wedding's canceled. Then I sat down and wrote the message to our guests. Hi, everyone. The wedding is canceled. Please respect our privacy. I'll share more when I'm ready. Thank you for understanding. My hands hovered over the send button, and then I clicked, and that was the moment everything changed. The message had been sent. There was no going back. The wedding was canceled. I waited for the fallout, and it came fast: texts, missed calls, DMs from confused friends and family. Most were sympathetic. Some were nosy. A few were downright infuriating. What happened? Are you okay? Please tell me this is a joke. And from a mutual friend I never liked. Dude, it's just a vacation. She didn't cheat. Maybe you're overreacting. That one made my blood boil. Overreacting? She disappeared. Flew to Europe. Ignored every call, every message. And when she finally did answer, she acted like I was the problem. Overreacting? No. This wasn't about jealousy or insecurity. It was about respect. About being treated like a partner, not like some disposable figure in the background of her life. I ignored most of the messages. I didn't owe anyone an explanation. Not yet. Not when I was still trying to understand it all myself. Later that day, her mom called me again, her voice trembling. She's in Barcelona? She asked, like she still couldn't believe it. I told her everything. The silence. The Instagram posts. The phone call. Her mom cried. Her dad was quiet, then muttered, "Those damn friends," like the words burned his tongue. They told her this would be a once-in-a-lifetime trip, her mom whispered. She said she needed space. But I never imagined. I didn't say anything. What was there to say? Her daughter ghosted me, and now was supposed to clean up the mess. The next morning, Mia called again. I let it ring. Then a text came in. "Please, just answer. I need to talk to you." I didn't reply. I went to the kitchen, poured a coffee, and sat by the window. The same window we picked out curtains for. The same one she'd stood by, humming, when we talked about honeymoon destinations. Spain hadn't been one of them. By noon, I started canceling vendors. The venue, the DJ, the florist, one by one. Each call was a gut punch. The cancellation fees alone were enough to make me sick. But strangely, it was freeing. Every click, every, "I'm sorry, we'll no longer need your services," felt like peeling a weight off my chest. Then came the hard part. Her stuff. I couldn't look at it. The dresses, the hair ties on the counter, the mug she always used with the chipped handle. I boxed it all up. Quick. Detached. Like I was packing up a stranger's life. That night, her parents called again. "She wants to come home," her mom said. "Please, just give her a chance to explain." She had her chance, I said. When she got on that plane. When she ignored my messages. When she told me to deal with it. "She loves you," her mom whispered. "She made a mistake." "Then she can come home," I said coldly. "But she won't be coming home to me." 2 days later, I watched her car pull into the driveway. I didn't open the door. She knocked. Again and again. "Please, baby, let's talk," she begged through the door. I didn't mean for it to go this far. My hand rested on the doorknob. For a second, a weak second, I almost turned it. But I remembered. The way she laughed in those photos. The way she told me to relax. The way she said, "Deal with it." I stayed quiet. She sobbed on the other side of the door. Her cries echoing through the hallway like a dying thing. It hurt, God, it hurt, but I didn't open the door. Eventually, she left. That night, I sat in the empty apartment and stared at the boxes. Our memories stuffed into cardboard. Souvenirs from a life that no longer existed. Then came the new storm, pressure from everyone else. Mutual friends. Her friends. Even her college ex, Liam, yes, the one I always suspected she still had a soft spot for, reached out. He had the audacity to text. "Hey, man, I just wanted you to know she's really broken up. She didn't mean to hurt you. You should hear her out." I nearly crushed my phone, but it didn't stop. Her bridesmaids messaged me. "You're really going to call off a wedding over this? She just needed a break. You're being kind of dramatic. She's miserable. Just give her a chance to talk." Even my parents chimed in. My mom, especially. "She's a good girl," she said over dinner. You two have been together for 6 years. Don't throw it all away over one mistake. It wasn't one mistake, I snapped. It was 1,000 choices. She frowned. Don't be cold. I'm not, I said. I'm finally clear. And I was. For the first time in weeks, maybe months. I felt certain. I wasn't angry anymore. I was done. But fate wasn't. 1 week after she picked up her things, Mia texted again. Please. Just one conversation. Closure. That's all I'm asking for. I didn't reply. The next day, I saw her. By accident. At a coffee shop we used to go to every Sunday. She was sitting by the window, alone, nursing a drink, staring at her phone like it held the answers to a life she'd lost. When she looked up and saw me, our eyes locked. She waved. A small, broken wave. I nodded. She gestured to the seat across from her. I hesitated and walked over. We didn't talk about the wedding, or Spain, or her friends. Just small things. Work, her new apartment, my job, weather. It felt like two strangers trying to wear old clothes that no longer fit. When I stood to leave, she reached out, gently touched my hand. I'm sorry, she said. Soft. Real. I nodded. So am I. But I didn't stay. I walked out, back into the street, back into the new life I was trying to build, back into the emptiness that still clung to everything she left behind. But as I walked away, something in me shifted. I wasn't walking away angry. I was walking away free. I thought that running into Mia at the coffee shop would bring me peace. It didn't. The truth is, I walked out of there feeling like a ghost of myself, like I had left something behind at that table that I couldn't quite name. Her apology had been soft, sincere, but it didn't fix anything. It couldn't. There were too many cracks in the foundation now. Too many things that couldn't be unsaid. But that didn't stop people from trying. Her friends kept reaching out, switching numbers after I blocked the first ones. This time, the messages came as group texts, some disguised as apologies, others as subtle manipulations. She's not eating. She's not sleeping. She talks about you every day. She's willing to do anything, just talk to her. It all felt performative, like damage control, like someone had realized just how badly they'd messed up, and now they were scrambling to rewrite the ending. But the worst part wasn't them. It was my family. I remember it vividly. The day I finally broke with my parents. I had stopped by their place to grab an old box of books, thinking it would be a quick in and out. It wasn't. My mom cornered me in the kitchen, a soft pity in her eyes. She's been calling us, she said carefully. Crying, broken. She wants a second chance. I said nothing. She's a good girl, sweetheart, she went on. She just got caught up in the moment. The wedding planning, the pressure. She left. I interrupted quietly but firmly. She ghosted me and went to another continent. She panicked, my mom replied. It doesn't mean she doesn't love you. If she loved me, I said, my voice cracking just slightly, she wouldn't have done this. That silenced her. My father came in halfway through and tried to play mediator, but the damage was done. I left their house that day, knowing things had shifted, not just with Mia, but with my own parents. They didn't understand. Maybe they never would. I started spending more time alone after that. Volunteered for extra shifts. Hit the gym. Kept my head down and tried to grind through the days. I even took up running. Early mornings before the city came alive, before the memories had a chance to sneak in. But the silence didn't go away. It followed me, haunted me. Her voice at the edge of every quiet room. Her laugh echoing off the walls of our now half-empty apartment. The ghost of our future lingering like smoke after a fire. Then a letter arrived. A physical one, folded neatly inside a small envelope, no return address. I recognized the handwriting immediately. It was hers. Inside was a single page, handwritten, not typed. The words were shaky, uncertain, smudged in places. She'd clearly rewritten it more than once. I don't know what to say that I haven't already tried to say. I know you probably won't read this. Maybe you've already thrown it away. I just need you to know that I wasn't trying to hurt you. I was scared of what we were building, of how serious it got. I needed to feel something else for a moment. I know that's not fair. I wasn't ready to admit that I'd started to doubt myself. The wedding was so close, and I felt like everyone was watching, waiting, expecting me to be this version of myself I wasn't sure I knew anymore. I didn't handle it right. I know that. I just wanted to feel like me again. I am sorry. For the silence. For the photos. For the pain. I'd give anything to rewind it. But I know I can't. You don't owe me anything. I just hope that somewhere in your heart, you can forgive me, even if we never speak again. I sat on the couch, the letter resting in my lap, my fingers pressed against the paper like I could absorb the weight of her regret through the ink. It didn't change anything, but it broke something loose in me, the last shard of hatred I'd been gripping like a blade in a clenched fist. I didn't respond. Instead, I folded the letter neatly, slipped it into a box of old photos, and closed the lid. That chapter was done. It had to be, but life, as always, had other plans. About a month later, I was invited to a friend's wedding, one I had RSVP'd long before my own world imploded. I debated skipping it. The idea of watching another couple walk down the aisle made my skin crawl. But I went. I went because I needed to prove something to myself, that I could be in that space again and not fall apart. And that's where I saw her. Not Mia, someone else. Her name was Leah. She wasn't dramatic or loud or dripping in charm. She was simple, honest. She sat 2 rows ahead of me during the ceremony and cried when the groom said his vows. I noticed her again at the reception, sipping champagne and laughing quietly with her cousin. We spoke once, briefly, while reaching for the same slice of cake. Our hands touched. She smiled, and something in me stirred, something I thought was gone. Hope. We didn't exchange numbers. We didn't fall into each other's arms. It wasn't a storybook moment, but it was real. The next day, I found her on social media. A friend of a friend. I messaged her. You said the cake was worth the calories. I think I agree. She replied within minutes. Told you. Worth every bite. And just like that, something began. I don't know what it will become. But for the first time in a long time, I'm not living in the wreckage. I'm stepping beyond it. And Mia? She's in the past. But the past has a funny way of never staying buried. Because 2 weeks later, I got another letter. No envelope. Just a folded sheet of paper slid under my apartment door. 7 words. I know something about Leah. Ask me. The note sat on my kitchen table like a loaded gun. 7 words. I know something about Leah. Ask me. No name. No signature. But I knew who it was from. Mia. There was no mistaking the way she curved her letters. The slanted K, the small, precise period at the end. She didn't even bother hiding it. I stared at it for hours, as if the paper itself might catch fire or disappear, as if the words would shift into something less poisonous, something less dangerous. But they didn't. They stayed the same. Simple. Threatening. I didn't want to believe it. Leah had been honest. At least that's how she came across. Soft-spoken. Patient. She never pried about Mia or the wedding. She never asked for anything from me that I wasn't ready to give. So why did that note shake me? Because something inside me believed it. I didn't want to. God knows I wanted to ignore it. Rip it up and toss it into the trash with everything else Mia had left behind. But I couldn't. It gnawed at me. What did Mia know? How could she know anything? I didn't reach out to Mia. I couldn't give her that satisfaction. But I started watching Leah more closely, not in a paranoid way, but with a growing sense of discomfort. A new self-doubt I hadn't felt in months. I noticed her pausing before answering certain questions. Not lying, just calculating. I noticed she knew more about my past than I'd ever told her. At first I thought maybe we just had mutual friends. Maybe someone told her about the broken engagement, about Spain, about the ghosted groom story that had made the rounds in our social circles. But then I saw it. One night, Leah and I were watching a movie. She got up to grab water, and her phone lit up on the couch. A notification from Camila, Mia's best friend. A chill passed through me so fast I almost forgot to breathe. I knew that name. That name had been a constant thorn in my side. Camila, the one who left my messages on read. The one who egged Mia on during that trip. The one who had posted that picture in Spain. Leah came back to the couch, and I pretended I didn't see anything. I smiled. I nodded. I didn't say a word, but everything inside me was unraveling. After she left that night, I didn't sleep. I just kept repeating the same question. Who is she really? The next day, I called a mutual friend, someone I hadn't spoken to since the wedding blew up. A guy named Andrew who had gone to college with Mia, Camila, and apparently Leah too. He was hesitant at first. Didn't want to get involved. But when I told him I needed clarity, not gossip, not drama, just the truth, he finally gave in. He paused on the phone, then said, Leah and Camila were roommates. Senior year. They were close. Really close. I asked if he meant close as in friends or something more. He said it didn't matter. What mattered was that Leah had known about Mia all along. She knew about the wedding, about me, about everything. I hung up without saying goodbye. My throat was dry. My heart was pounding. I felt like I was back in that moment at 4 a.m., staring at Mia's Instagram post from Barcelona. That same feeling of betrayal, of being made a fool of. Again, but this time it was worse. Because I let it happen. I had chosen to move forward. And now it felt like the universe was punishing me for trying to hope again. I called Leah, asked her to come over. She came. No hesitation. I didn't waste time. I saw the message, I said. From Camila. She didn't even try to lie. Her face dropped, the blood draining from her cheeks. I waited. She sat down slowly, like her legs might give out. I wanted to tell you, she whispered. I just didn't know how. You knew her, I said. You knew everything. From the beginning. She nodded. I was at the wedding. Not as a guest. Camila invited me. I knew who you were. I knew what happened. I wasn't supposed to get close. But when we talked at the reception, You what? I asked. You decided to just pretend like you hadn't watched my relationship implode from the sidelines? I didn't plan this, she said. I didn't come into your life to manipulate you. I swear. I stood. I couldn't sit anymore. My hands were trembling. You lied. I didn't lie, she said, eyes wet. I just didn't tell you. That's the same thing. She looked up at me, tears now spilling. I like you, she said. From the beginning. But I knew if I told you the truth, you'd never trust me. She was right. I didn't. I couldn't. She left a few minutes later. No yelling. No dramatic exit. Just silence. That silence again. The same silence I woke up to 2 weeks before my wedding. That silence was back. It was louder than ever. I didn't speak to anyone for days. Turned off my phone. Shut out the world. Because it wasn't just about Leah or Mia anymore. It was about me. I had rebuilt myself on a shaky foundation. I had moved on without really healing. I had let someone in, desperate for peace, and ignored all the red flags. And now, I was right back where I started. Alone. Betrayed. Angry. But this time, something was different. I wasn't broken. Just awake. I could see now how easy it was to fall into a pattern. To keep trusting people who hadn't earned it. To believe that love could fix anything. Even when the truth kept slapping you in the face. I didn't want to hate Leah, but I also didn't want to forgive her. Not yet. I needed space. I needed air. So I did something I hadn't done in years. I booked a flight. To nowhere fancy. Just a quiet place upstate. A cabin. No Wi-Fi. No expectations. Just trees. And silence. Real silence this time. I sat by the lake the first morning there and thought about Mia. About Leah. About the version of myself I had lost in all of this. And then I opened my journal, something I hadn't touched since college, and started writing again. Not to them. To me. A letter I never planned to send. A promise I needed to make. To stop chasing closure. To stop explaining my pain to people who couldn't handle it. To stop waiting for apologies that would never come. To start over. Not with someone new, but with myself. And just as I was about to close the journal, my phone, the one I had turned off for days, buzzed once. A voicemail from an unknown number. I almost deleted it, but curiosity won. I pressed play, and Mia's voice filled the room. I know you don't want to hear from me, but this isn't about me. It's about Leah, and something you need to know, something she hasn't told you. Call me back, please. I didn't call her back. Not right away. I listened to the voicemail twice. 3 times. Her voice had changed. It wasn't cold or defensive anymore. It was tired, worn thin, like someone dragging the weight of guilt across broken glass. But I still couldn't bring myself to call her. Not because I didn't want answers, but because I was afraid I already knew them. The cabin was quiet. Still. Too still. I thought the silence would help me think, but it only made the possibilities louder. Every word Mia said echoed in my head. It's not about me. It's about Leah. Something she hasn't told you. That phrase tore at me. What hadn't she told me? Was there more? Or was Mia just trying to insert herself back into my life through the back door? I stayed up that night pacing around the small room, staring at the blinking voicemail icon on my screen like it might reveal something more if I looked hard enough. By the time the sun rose the next morning, I gave in. I dialed. It rang once. Twice. She picked up on the third. "Hello," she said, quiet. "It's me," I replied. My voice felt foreign, tight, like it didn't belong to the man I used to be. There was a pause. "I didn't think you'd call. You said you had something to tell me." Another pause. She exhaled slow. "She's not who you think she is." I stayed silent. "She didn't just know about you before you met. Mia stopped herself. She asked about you. Specifically, before the wedding." My jaw tensed. "She what?" "She was at my bachelorette party," Mia continued. "It was Camila who brought her. Said she was a friend from work. At first, I didn't even remember seeing her there. But after everything, I went back through the photos. She was in a bunch of them. I remembered seeing that photo once. A sea of women at a wine tasting, all wearing matching pink sashes. I hadn't paid attention to their faces. Why would I? She knew everything," Mia said. "About us. About the wedding. About how I left. I didn't think much of it until she started posting quotes after you two were together." "What kind of quotes?" I asked. "The kind that don't mean much unless you know what they're about. Inside jokes. Songs we used to play. Phrases I said in arguments." My mouth went dry. "She was watching us," Mia said, "even before the wedding fell apart. And I don't know what her game is, but she's not just some random woman you met at a reception. She planned it." I ended the call without another word. And then I stood in the center of that small cabin, the walls closing in around me. Because deep down, I knew Mia wasn't lying. The pieces were there. They always had been. I just hadn't wanted to see them. Leah hadn't just stumbled into my life. She had studied it and inserted herself when I was most vulnerable. Back in the city, I waited 3 days before I called her. I needed time to quiet the rage long enough to think clearly. She answered on the first ring. "I was wondering when you'd call," she said, her voice small. "I know about the bachelorette party," I said flatly. Silence. Then, "Okay," she whispered. "You deserve the truth." I didn't speak. I waited. "I met Camila 2 years ago. At work. We weren't close at first. But then she started talking about her best friend's fiancé, about you. And I remembered you. I knew you. You don't remember, but we met once a long time ago. A college event. You held the door for me. That's not a reason to chase someone's broken life." "I didn't chase you," she said. "But when I saw you at the wedding, I don't know. Something about you. I thought maybe what?" I snapped. "Maybe you could slip into the ashes and play savior?" "No," she said, voice cracking. "Maybe I could help you heal." I didn't know whether to laugh or scream. "You lied to me." "I didn't lie." "Don't say it again," I interrupted. "You knew who I was. You knew what I had just gone through. You inserted yourself into my life deliberately. That's a lie by omission." She didn't argue. "I didn't mean for it to get serious," she said. "But then it did. And by then I was too far in." "Too far into what?" She didn't answer. I could hear her breathing on the other end. Shaky, unsteady. "Do you even care about me?" I asked. "Or was this some weird game to see if I'd fall for you?" "I care," she said quietly. "But I should have told you the truth from the beginning. I was scared. Scared I'd lose the only real thing I'd ever had." There was again. That word, scared. Just like Mia had said after Spain. Scared. Everyone was scared. But I was the one who kept paying the price. I ended the call, blocked the number, and sat in my apartment, in the same spot where I'd first stared at Mia's photo from Spain and realized I'd been played again. Not by malice, but by weakness. By people who didn't know how to love without hurting someone else in the process. That night, I poured a drink I didn't really want. I stared out the window at the skyline, and I wondered if I would ever trust anyone again. But something shifted in me. I realized I didn't need to. Not yet. I didn't need to love someone else to feel whole. I didn't need to forgive everyone. I just needed to stop letting other people's chaos define me. So I started over. Really over this time. I changed my number. Moved to a new apartment. Left behind everything I'd built with Mia and everything Leah had touched. I took a new job across the state. Fresh faces. Clean slate. The day I left, I stood in my empty apartment and took one last look. The old photos were gone. The books packed. The memories boxed up tight and sealed. And for the first time in over a year, I wasn't leaving behind regret. I was leaving behind revenants. The ghosts of who I had been. Because the man standing there now, he was something new, something tougher, something rebuilt. And as I stepped into the hallway and closed the door behind me, my phone buzzed one last time. A message from a contact I hadn't saved. Just one line. You might have shut the door, but I'm still waiting on the other side. I didn't open it. I didn't need to, because I was already walking toward a life where none of them followed. New city, new job, new walls, new air, but the same memories. At first, I thought distance would wash everything away. Mia's absence, Leah's manipulation, my own bitterness. I thought if I moved far enough, started over somewhere unfamiliar, I could outrun it all. But the truth is, you never outrun the past. You just learn to live beside it. My new life didn't come with fanfare. There was no movie moment where I stepped out of the car and everything clicked. The apartment was smaller. The job was harder. The silence at night was louder. But for once, the silence didn't feel like an enemy. It felt like mine. I started small. Cooked meals for one. Ran every morning. Wrote in my journal, even if it was just a sentence or two. I kept to myself. Spoke little. Smiled when I didn't always feel like it. And for a while, that was enough. Until one night, about 2 months in, I got a letter. Not a text. Not a voicemail. A letter. In my mailbox. No return address again. Just my name, written in careful handwriting on the front. I opened it. It wasn't from Mia, and it wasn't from Leah. It was from Leah's mother. Dear name, I hope this doesn't feel invasive. I know you don't owe me your attention, but I wanted to say something I don't think my daughter has the courage to say herself. Leah never meant to hurt you. What she did, the way she entered your life, was wrong. But it didn't come from cruelty. It came from pain. From years of watching relationships fall apart around her. From believing she wasn't worthy of being chosen unless she inserted herself. She didn't chase you out of malice. She followed you out of admiration. You don't have to forgive her. But I hope you know that what she felt for you is real, even if the way she started was not. Some people break things to understand what love means. Others carry their damage quietly, hoping someone else might see through the cracks and stay anyway. She's trying to be better, whether that matters to you or not. I just thought you should know. Thank you for being someone she loved. I sat with the letter in my hands for a long time, longer than I cared to admit. Not because it changed anything, but because it didn't make me angry. It made me sad. Sad for her. Sad for Mia. Sad for myself. So many of us walk into love dragging broken parts behind us, hoping someone else will carry what we can't. I thought about writing back, but I didn't. I didn't need to. Some letters are only meant to be read. A few weeks later, I bumped into someone new. Her name was Danielle. She worked at a local bookstore and made fun of me for reading the back covers like I was judging people by their dating profiles. She was sharp, kind, and most importantly, she didn't know me. Not my past. Not my broken engagement. Not the lies or the Instagram fallout or the wedding that never happened. She just knew the man in front of her. And for the first time in a long time, that felt like enough. We didn't jump into anything. There were no grand gestures. No dramatic first kiss in the rain. Just coffee, long walks, shared playlists, honesty. One night, over a late dinner, she asked, "So, what's your story?" I paused, and I told her the truth. All of it. About Mia. About the wedding. About Spain. About the girl who watched me from the sidelines. About the silence. The heartbreak. The journal. The guilt. The anger. I didn't sugarcoat it. I didn't hide. And when I was done, she didn't flinch. She just reached across the table and said, "Sounds like you've been through hell." I laughed, not because it was funny, but because it was the first time someone had said that without judgment in their eyes. Yeah, I said, but I made it back. That night, I realized something. Closure isn't a door someone else has to shut. It's the lock you remove from the inside. Mia moved on. I heard through a friend she was seeing someone new. Good for her. Leah, I assume, is still figuring things out. Maybe someday we'll cross paths again. Maybe not. But as for me, I stopped waiting for the apology that never came. Stopped chasing the version of myself that had once been engaged to a woman who left without a goodbye. I stopped living in the aftershock because grief doesn't ask permission. It takes what it wants. But healing? Healing is a choice. One morning, almost a year to the day after Mia vanished, I stood on a cliff trail overlooking the city, a spot I'd found on one of my runs. The wind was cold, the sky was quiet, and I took out my phone and typed a final message I would never send. You changed me, both of you, and not in the ways you think. You taught me that love without honesty is a performance. That attention without intent is manipulation. That absence speaks louder than any goodbye. But most of all, you taught me that surviving isn't the same as healing. I've healed now. You don't get to define me anymore. Then I deleted it. Not because it wasn't true, but because it was already mine, and that was enough. I stood there in that cold wind, finally weightless. Not forgotten, but no longer chained. And for the first time since it all began, I whispered the words that had once felt impossible. Thank you for leaving, because if she hadn't, I might never have found myself.